The Overwhelm is Optional podcast is for you if you want to quit the struggle with overwhelm. You want to live life to the full. You don't want to compromise your health and relationships in order to have well-paid, satisfying, meaningful work. You want it all on your terms. Hello, just wanted to pop in before we start the podcast and mention my I'm so excited, new free offer. Only 5 calls available, so getting really fast. So these are free 30-minute release the pressure calls. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by the pressure to keep doing all of the things and you're running around, you're doing all of the things, but it's really frustrating because not only is it bonkers in your head and exhausting in your body, but also you're really frustrated because all you're doing is actually just about hanging in there, just about maintaining your current level of pressure. And it's not what you want. You want to really be moving forward. And when we keep getting all of the things done in order to release the pressure, that doesn't work. We know it doesn't work, but when we're in that pressure, we can't think straight. So let me hold the space for you so you can dump the pressure and get the headspace to see an easier way to tackle your whack-a-mole to-do list. So these are designed for me to hold the space for you. You can brain dump all the stuff out and then get the clarity so that you can think clearly. So you're going to leave feeling lighter and with a clear strategy to get the things done that really matter to you rather than going around in circles. So go to calendly.com/Heidi Marke /release the pressure and book yours now. There's only 5 calls. Do it now. Do it before you listen to the podcast. That's calendly.com/Heidi Marke /release the pressure. There's also a link just below this. I'm really excited. Can't wait to get started on these. Book yours now. Hello, Heidi here from HeidiMarke.co.uk, Gentle Rebel Coach, helping women live a successful life without overwhelm, sacrifice, masses of stress, frustrating exhaustion and feeling not good enough and inadequate. Instead, gently rebelling against all that nonsense and helping you create a life that works for you, one that you feel at home in, one that you can be yourself in, one that lights you up and energizes you and you feel really good in. Right, so I'm recording this for you and then I'm going into Glastonbury Festival to have an enormous amount of fun. And so obviously this is pre-recorded because it would be too noisy in the festival. It is very noisy. It does challenge my toleration of noise. I've just invested in brand new earplugs again, the kind of plasticine ones where you like seal up your entire earlobe and then all I can hear instead is the thudding of the backstage party because we are fortunate enough to camp backstage as fire stewards. Anyway, so this week's specially recorded for you. It's not going to be very long, and I was thinking about taking a week off and that would be fine. But actually, I'm really excited about this one. So here we go. So this week's all about mini adventures and why I am passionate about mini adventures. So basically, anything you want in your life, you have to invite into your life, right? So if you want more ease, you have to allow for more ease. But creating more ease, you have to notice where you're creating like more overwhelm or more pressure on yourself, and that's a bigger job, right? That's fine, we can do that, and I've done that on previous episodes, and that's why people love working with me, because that's exactly what I help you do, like relieve the overwhelm, release the pressure. Anyway, but we don't just want, it's very easy, isn't it? If I say to people, what do you want? They often say I want to feel less overwhelmed and less stressed and have more energy, but they're the opposite of the negative. With mini adventures, you're doing the opposite of that. So you're saying, okay, so not only do I want to feel less stressed, and I know that when you're really stressed, it doesn't feel like it's possible to have this. So this is like the next level, but it's true that once we learn how to live without the overwhelm, to have methods and tools for reducing it and then eliminating it in certain sections of our life, and then when we know it's going to happen again, or we suddenly find ourselves overwhelmed again, which is usually when we do any kind of like big project or up level, then we have the tools to deal with that. So once you get used to that, the idea that, okay, overwhelm is optional for me, I've got that now, you can then start to bring in the things that the whole point was. So if we think about this, the whole point of working really hard so that you could have more money and more choice over how you spend your time than other people who didn't work as hard as you, was so that not just so you could cope. It's not just the absence of overwhelm and stress and frustration. It's a whole load more than that. The whole point was that we wanted more, and one of the things we want is mini adventures. Now you might be thinking, Heidi, I don't want any adventures, my life is quite full enough. No, bear with me here. I'm using the term adventure as in we can turn all sorts of things into adventures. I love the word adventure. My group coaching program, Get Your Life Back, is set up as an adventure. It's a word I've introduced more and more into my life because it's playful, because it's expansive, because it's fun and childish and silly. I want more mini adventures in my life. Now, back in the day when I was, living my full-on stressy pants life, but didn't realise I was overwhelmed, thought I was kicking ass, I'd have lists of adventures that I wanted, and I made a lot of them happen. I went back to Thailand for 2 weeks with my eldest, and I wanted to hang out with elephants, and we did rafting. We did a ton of stuff. Right? I made stuff happen. I'm good at making stuff happen. But before, in my old mode, in my 40s, when I was working to create this full life, I did it by depleting myself. It was very pushy energy. So now I'm like, okay, so I really fancy doing that. How can I make it happen? And so this is what happens to me. And I know this happens to you and my clients. So I start thinking, it'd be really, really good if I could do more exercise. How can I do more exercise that'd be fun? Well, I don't want to run again because I'm bored of running. I'd like to do more walking. Right, so now I need to become a hiker. I'd really like to play on the water more. Right, so now I need to become a kayaker. And then it becomes this huge deal. And then it becomes discussions with my partner about how we ought to do more big hikes at the weekend. And then we get out the OS map, or rather I do. And then I'm like plotting I'm laughing now because I went out with my youngest for a beautiful walk and a few weeks ago, and I got the OS map out and I plotted this walk, and then about 2 hours later we've gone in the wrong direction. And you think, well, how can that be, Heidi? Well, it's because it was along a canal and I went the wrong way. So funny. Anyway, so yes, when I decide I want these bigger adventures, it gets out of control. It becomes a thing that has to go on the calendar, and then we have to wait for the right weather, and then we have to get the OS map out, and it just becomes huge. And then it doesn't happen because it becomes too difficult. Something gets in the way. So what I've decided instead is it was a firm commitment to mini adventures. Mini adventures are a version, or the feeling rather, that you get from the big adventure that you want. And and I'm not saying don't have big adventures. I'm saying mini adventures are the way forward, because it opens up the feeling of the possibility of the big adventure. So for example, I've been doing mini adventures, and now we've actually said, we want to go trekking in Nepal. Now my partner loves trekking in Nepal. He's done it many times. I've never done it with him. Partly because I like heat, he likes cold. It's not really going to work for me, is it? But I really want to go to Nepal, and a close friend recently went, and anyway, so now we've made that commitment. It's quite a vague commitment, but it's definitely a commitment. We're going to go trekking in Nepal. But I believe that it's become easier for me to commit to that because of my commitment to myself, to my life first, and mini adventures. So I got really tired of the fact that adventures weren't happening. And a lot of the reason adventures weren't happening were for the reasons I've just said. But one of the big reasons adventures weren't happening was my partner, who, I waited a long time. I did the whole Bridget Jones thing in my 30s. Where are all the good men? And being told you're too fussy and blah, blah. Anyway, so I met my partner, and he's great. And then it turns out he likes cold, I like hot. His busiest time of the year was when I had time off, and it just like, so for years I noticed this pattern where we weren't quite having the bigger adventures. We would manage to do some things, but there was too much compromise. I was like raring to go and do exciting things in the summer, and he was just working really hard in the summer. And then in the autumn, I'd be working really hard, and he'd be like, I love autumn, and he'd be celebrating autumn. And he's very, very good, much better than me at doing things on his own. Like, I'm pretty sure he could be a hermit, and that I feel very loved for the fact that he wants to live with me. And I am very loved, and I'm very lucky, and I'm very, very grateful for that. Worth waiting for, worth upping my standards and expectations of love and a partner for him. Anyway, back to the mini adventures. So I decided, right, okay, what's the easiest way to make this happen? Mini adventures. So a mini adventure is one that gives you the feeling of the big adventure, but without the fuss. It requires far less organisation. It can very much be a last minute thing, but there's also, for me, the planning of mini adventures to make sure they happen. That's my commitment. So I've got a friend who's also keen on mini adventures, and now this makes it a bit bigger. Mini adventures don't have to be this complicated, but this is like an accountability thing. So I found a friend who also wants to do mini adventures, and we got a list of dates, picked 3 we could do in the year, and now we have 3 mini adventures in, and we've already had one. And then we picked some dates, then we listed things we like doing. We both wanted to kayak, we both wanted to walk, we both wanted to wild camp, wild swim, basically be outside, right? But not with the pressure, and this is really important. So if you turn walking into hiking, it becomes this huge adventure. And it's not that I don't like hiking, it's that I want to practice mini adventures. A mini version of a big hike is finding a spot. No, this is funny. On Instagram, I saw this post which I really liked, and this person had hiking gear on, but they were just looking around in a wood going, I'm just finding a spot. And I love that. I love the idea that instead of hiking and it becoming this big mammoth expedition requiring, I don't know, proper boots and proper weather and maps, and I don't know, and getting really tired. Instead, you just wandering around looking for a spot. And what I really like about that is that when we slow down, we see all the unexpected loveliness around us. Sometimes we get into big adventures and we miss a lot of stuff because we're just trying to hit the finish line, right? That can happen. I'm not saying it always does, and I'm not saying that's your idea of an adventure. I'm just saying turning it around so it doesn't become this big, huge deal can be really, really helpful. So mini adventures are my answer to the question, how can I make having those things that I want, which is more walking, more being outside, more big physical things. I do really want that. More being on water, but without fuss. So that's what's happening. So I went up to Oxfordshire for a hiking and kayaking weekend, and we ended up pootling on a river and finding a spot, which was really joyful. And we didn't wild camp because it was a bit chilly and we didn't fancy it, so we didn't. And we were both feeling a bit tired because I can't remember why. I think we've both been doing something exciting. Can't remember what it was, and we were both like, yeah, I've had some late nights because I've been having fun, been sociable or something. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, but yeah, I don't want to go wild camping, so I'm not going to. Because it doesn't feel like fun at the moment. We'll do it another time. So that's really cool. And it was such a joyful weekend because it was so easy, because it wasn't a big deal. It didn't require fuss. Did it require special equipment? Yes. My kayak. We both have blow up kayaks. But she lives near to a canal. So we just walked, blew up the kayaks, got in the boats, pootled up the river, laughed a lot. Because anytime we stopped paddling, the boats just spun round and round. So that was, I don't know, it just makes me laugh. Easy to make me laugh, which is a very good thing. Can you hear Tegwin? Tegwin, my very old collie, has done a rare movement there, and it's managed to make some noise on the podcast. Well done, Tegwin. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we just pootled up the river to a cafe, had some lunch, poodled back again. Felt deliciously worn out. You know that really nice feeling where it's like, oh, I've got a nice ache in my muscles. I'm going to build some muscle. And you've been outside and it's just lovely. There's nothing quite like that, is there? That lovely feeling of moving your body and being outside. And I love being near water. Absolutely love being near water. So that was wonderful. And then the next day we went for a finding a spot, we went for a reasonable length walk, not a really long walk. And it was just lovely. It was just so beautiful. And yeah, that was it. That was a mini adventure. And that was quite a big mini adventure because that was a whole weekend, right? Now, other mini adventures would be, sneakily, we got my my youngest son for his 30th, a blow-up kayak as well. So that's brilliant because now I can just say, want to go on a mini adventure? And that would be really easy to do. So I've created the conditions for mini adventures with the people closest to me. And I've done that by stating that I wanted more adventure in my life, but I realised that making that happen was requiring too much effort. It was requiring too much organisation, too many to-do lists, and then that was adding to my, life's passing me by and you're not having the adventures you set out to do. Particularly now, this is interesting for me. Now I have created a life that works for me. What I can notice my mind doing is getting more judgy than before. So before it'd be like, well, you're too overwhelmed and exhausted. No wonder you're not doing things. You work too hard, blah, blah, blah. And then I'd get cross at my life. Whereas now I definitely have time, I definitely have energy, I definitely have the expectation. So if I'm not doing it, that makes me a terrible person, right? Thanks, mind. No, it doesn't. It just means I need to find a way to do it in line with how I live now, which means I need to do it my way. And my way is a mini adventure. A mini adventure requires a smaller amount of time than a big adventure. It's a practice for that, but not a substitute. So it's a practice as in I am embodying that feeling that I am an adventuress. This is who I am. This is what I do. Because you can see the evidence for that because I have many adventures. I do the things that light me up. And I know that will lead to doing the bigger adventures as well. But if it doesn't matter because I'm still having fun now. It takes the pressure off. It makes it easy. So my question to you is, what is it that you long to do that feels too big? The fun, silly things, the adventurous things, the childish things, the self-indulgent things, the things you really want to do, the things without aim, without achievement, the doing of them makes you happy. The doing of them feels expansive. It feels like you're growing as a person because you're actually doing the thing that you always wanted to do. What are those things? Notice what comes up for you. Notice if it's like, yeah, but to do that, I'd have to do da-da-da-da-da. Add into your to-do list and your overwhelm. Then notice the judgment. You ought to da-da-da-da-da. You need to be better at this. You need to be more organised. You need to do this, da-da-da-da. That's your adding to your invisible get better at list. Notice all of that. Put it to one side and then say, okay, from this position, I commit to gently rebelling against that. So I don't want to have more fun in my life by making it really hard work to have the fun. That doesn't work for me. So the question is, how? How can I have more fun in my life, have more adventure in my life with ease? What's the easiest way to do it? So the question is, what's your mini adventure? What do you want to be doing? And then how can you make it a mini adventure? So by definition, a mini adventure is one that's without fuss, that's fun, that's easy, that's joyful, that's really just you. It's your way of doing it. So like me with kayaking, I'm not kayaking, I'm pootling because I'm not in a hurry. I don't have an aim. I don't know, it's just laid back. It's just funny. It's just nice. It's just messing about in a river. It's just going, I love the feeling of the water. I love being outside. For me, I love the whole, there's like this secret space where nobody is because you can't walk in the river, right? So it's like you can walk alongside the river, but until you're actually in a boat on the river, you don't get the feeling of the space, which is all secret. And there's like dragonflies and other things going on, which you don't get to hang out with them if you're just walking along. It's different. So I love that. I love that secret space I have found, and I feel very at home there, and it rebalances me. It just makes me feel good. It's just nice. It's not a big deal. I'm not doing it to be rebalanced. I'm not doing it because it's good for me. I'm not doing it in order to achieve some well-being. I'm just doing it because I like it. That's what a mini adventure is. It's when we take the pressure off, when we say, yes, I might want to climb a mountain, but right now I could just like stroll up that hill, see what that feels like, look around, see how far I can see, enjoy the feeling of the wind on my face, enjoy the feeling of the ground beneath my feet, enjoy the feeling of having legs that move, whatever. What's your mini adventure, and how can you make them happen? By definition, easily. That's what the mini adventure is. I'm sure you've got that by now. Right. If you want to share your mini adventure with me, please do. I would love, love, love it. And I'm mainly on Instagram. That's where I would share my mini adventures when I do share them. If you want to come and hang out with me at heidi.marke, you come follow me. And I just want to give a shout out to the lovely person who messaged me on Instagram and said thank you for this podcast. I really appreciate it, and sending you lots of extra unexpected loveliness today. So yes, come and share your mini adventures with me over on Instagram, or you can just email me, or you can leave a review with your mini adventure in it. Do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. Thank you for being here. I wish you much unexpected loveliness, and I wish you many mini adventures. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. If this resonates with you, please use the like, subscribe and share buttons to help other people find their way here too. And please do go to www.heidimarke.co.uk/the 1 minute mark with an E to join my mailing list and receive my free 1 minute life-changing audio practice.